So I've come across an anonymous source from Korea claiming a few things about the upcoming March event. They say iPad mini 6, AirTags, the new budget iPad, and wider Apple Card support will be the schedule for this upcoming event happening on the 16th. And yes, I know that some of you might be panicking now because there is no mention of the iPad Pro. Has it been delayed? Is it not happening in March anymore? What is going on? Well, let's try and break it down. So without further ado, make sure to like and subscribe, click that notification for the latest Apple news and rumors. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. So I do want to say a few disclaimers before I delve into this information. Number one, as I said at the beginning, this is a completely mysterious source, and so I have no way to pretty much check their credibility, and so because of that, definitely take the information with a humongous grain of salt. But number two, to complicate things even further, the information is in Korean, and I don't speak any Korean, so I have to rely on Google Translate to get this information, which isn't really that reliable, and so a lot of what he's saying could be lost in translation, and so maybe I'm misinterpreting what he's trying to convey. So yes, bear that in mind as I delve into this report. Anyways, let's begin with the services because I'm assuming a lot of you don't care about it, but either way, yes, apparently Apple will be focusing on the Apple Card for a portion of the March event. Now you may be wondering, why? Because Apple has already announced the Apple Card, right? Well, here's the thing about the Apple Card. Weirdly enough, for an Apple product, it's only available in one country right now, and that is America. But Apple has expressed their interest in bringing Apple Card over to other countries, and this supposed announcement at the March event could be about just that. And the leaker does actually give us a list of the countries that should be getting the Apple Card next, and I'm glad to see England is there, though of course as an 18-year-old with little to no credits, I probably won't be getting the Apple Card anytime soon, but let me know in the comments below if your country is on this list. Anyways, because Apple seems to be heavily focusing on subscriptions and services lately because that way they can earn a ton of money, of course, having a segment of the event focused on the Apple Card or some other service does seem pretty plausible. And so while other leakers haven't mentioned anything about this as far as I know, I think this does seem pretty likely. Anyways, moving away from the services, let's get into the products, and two products I think are pretty much confirmed for March that I think are happening are the iPad mini and AirTags. So AirTags has been leaked into oblivion, and I think it's common knowledge at this point that they have been ready for a while. It's just the pandemic that has halted Apple's plans of releasing the product, but with the vaccine kinda making the situation slightly better, Apple's thinking is that, hey, we can release these and then people will go outside and start losing things, and so Apple can conveniently sell you a $99 pair of AirTags to stop that. So yeah, I guess that's great news for some of you out there. In terms of the iPad mini 6, while it hasn't been leaked extensively like AirTags, I think it's also pretty common knowledge that we should see a new iPad mini pretty soon, since of course the last iPad mini was updated in 2019. Now in terms of what this iPad mini 6 could bring to the table, there is some confusion. In fact, I've discussed this in previous videos, which of course you can check out in the iCard above, but to summarize, one group of leakers think the iPad mini 6 could be seeing a radical redesign, something more in line with the iPad Air and the iPad Pro, and then there's another group of leakers who aren't giving us such great news because apparently according to them, the iPad mini 6 will be very similar to the iPad 5, which means it will be pretty much similar to the iPad 1, and it will only incorporate a slightly larger 8.4-inch display and newer internals. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, but this Korean source corroborates with the latter. He believes that Maka Takara is right in that, yes, it will still have a home button, it will still have Lightning, and it will still have Apple Pencil 1 support. So yeah, it's not that exciting of an upgrade as we initially thought. So yes, I am pretty disappointed. That is quite a bummer, but I do have some more disappointing news, and that is regarding this new iPad. So you know how I said I used Google Translate for this? Well, this is where I feel like there's a grey area because he mentions there will be a new iPad, but he doesn't specify whether it's the Pro or the budget model. Now, I did do some digging to validate this, and I did see somebody asked him about the iPad Pro launch, and he says that he's confirming that with another source who might be claiming different things. So hopefully this is just a false alarm, at least I hope, because of course we've been hearing about an iPad Pro launching in March forever now, and so for Apple to not release it would be really odd. Though of course Apple Terminal does believe we'll see iPads via a press release, and so maybe we see the iPad Pros via site refresh and then Apple covers the iPad and the iPad mini at an event. That would make zero sense, but I guess anything can happen these days, so yes, that is somewhat of a possibility. Alternatively, much like I mentioned in yesterday's video, which of course you can check out in the iCard above, I did say there is a chance we could see the iPad Pros being delayed to maybe an April event and having 2 mini events instead of having one giant one in March. But anyways, because there is no Pro suffix in this new iPad, I think for the time being we can assume it's the iPad 9. And of course, I've discussed this at length in other videos, which of course you can check out in the iCard above. But to recap, essentially take the iPad Air 3 and just remove the Air and the 3 and just put a 9. That's basically the iPad 9. So 64 gigs of storage, 10.5-inch laminated display, A13 chip, 4 gigs of RAM, and the icing on the cake, a new $300 starting price. It's going to be lower than before, and it's going to offer you a bevy of upgrades. That's unheard of in the world of Apple, so yes, this is going to be an absolute steal, and it's going to be incredibly popular. Though of course, one might say, isn't this too early? Because of course, we have been seeing Apple release budget iPads for the last few years at the September events alongside the iPhones. And so replacing the iPad 8 so soon does seem pretty odd, but I guess my explanation would be that the iPad 8 in itself was a pretty minor upgrade, and so of course, Apple can kind of justify giving us a larger upgrade this early into the year. It's either that or, of course, I could be misinterpreting what he's saying and the new iPad could be referring to the iPad Pro, in which case I see the iPad 9 happening at the usual September slot instead. So yes, that is pretty much everything we can expect from this supposed March event schedule, and I'll be honest, apart from the new iPad, which of course I'm still unsure about, I think the iPad mini 6, AirTags, and an Apple Card update happening at the March event does seem pretty plausible to me, and yeah, I think there is a good chance we could actually see those. Though of course, for those wondering what about new Macs or an Apple TV, I would say that of course we should be getting a full list of all the products from more credible leakers soon, and so ultimately we have to wait and see. But tell me in the comments below, do you agree with this source or do you think the schedule will be slightly different? If so, tell me your predictions in the comments below. And on that note, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that notification for the latest Apple news and rumors. Check out a video here in the icon above about the iPad Pro possibly launching this month, though it is a pretty wild theory. And on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.